Hello, everyone. I'm Chris McPherson, and welcome to our continuing coverage of Super Bowl 52 from the Mall of America in Minneapolis. And I'm joined by the phenomenally talented NFL Network studio host, Chris Rose, and you can follow him on Twitter at Chris Rose. And you're live pretty much every day with Super Bowl Prime.
Super Bowl Prime.
Wednesday nights, Thursday night, Friday nights.
Yep.
And then how long are you on air, Super Bowl Sunday? 8.5 hours?
Well, yeah, the pregame is 8.5 hours.
Monstrous.
Now, this is the first year where I don't have to contribute to the pregame, so that's good. It's good for you guys out there. I will see you postgame with Dion and LT on the field with the champions of Super Bowl 52. I know who you guys are hoping
of course, yes.
who that'll be.
Thank you for at least prefacing and not acting like that we're going to go to the other side on that regard. So.
No. I think it's going to be a real good game. I mean, I expect it to be close. None of the 7 Super Bowls that Belichick and Brady have been involved in have been decided by more than 6 points, and I expect this one.
It was last year. It was the overtime
right,
game
and I'm still trying to figure out which direction I'm going with. I will be honest. At this point, I'm slightly leaning toward the Patriots.
All right, so what we got to do is sell you on the Eagles then. I guess that's the
Not
whole
much.
Thing here, so.
You don't have to sell me on the Eagles.
Okay.
They have sold themselves. I was one of the trillions of people that thought after Week 14 that the season was going to be over, that you guys were going to be one and done, and I'm sure there were a lot of Philly fans that were feeling the same way, like, oh, man, the dream season is going to go down like this with Nick Foles. But he's laughing. He's laughing. He played really well with a conservative game plan in that divisional round against Atlanta. They got, 4 good stops inside the 10. They got helped out, in my opinion, a little bit by Steve Sarkisian with some boneheaded play calling, but you know what? You still got to come up with the stops, and they were masterful on both sides of the football against Minnesota. So you don't have to convince me. I mean, I'm talking about a 3-point game. When you're talking about something like that, it can go either way.
So you hosted the opening night coverage.
Right.
What was your take of how Doug Peterson and Nick Foles addressed the national media spotlight, worldwide media spotlight?
I thought they were great. I thought the Eagles, I hope that they enjoyed their time. It was funny because a lot of our guys have been to multiple Super Bowls at the network, and they said the first one was just a blur and they didn't enjoy it and they wish they had. So I know it's human nature to be focused and to be overwhelmed with, 2,300 media members staring at you the whole time and wanting to talk to you, asking you weird questions and stuff like that. But I hope that they enjoyed themselves. And I don't think it's that difficult the rest of the week. They have a few more media obligations. I imagine the most challenging part is, like, you're in a hotel for 8 days. They're not used to that. They're used to traveling, on Friday for the longest trip of the season?
See, luckily they had the West Coast trip.
Right,
where
that's
they had
true.
to spend the whole week in between. And
That's
was like
a good call.
That was like a precursor for them. That was like a warm-up, but it's not from the media standpoint.
Oh,
All
absolutely.
of the circus stuff. Nothing really prepared you for this unless you're actually in the game.
And by the way, they're hanging it out in L.A. as opposed to 4-degree Minneapolis. I live in L.A. It's a little different.
There's been nothing wrong with Minneapolis. They've been so
It's a great
kind
city.
to
Listen,
Eagles fans.
This is a great, great city. I don't know. I heard a few boos, and I understand that. I mean, listen, they just
a few.
They just had their Super Bowl dreams squashed by you guys. So
Nick Foles couldn't get through his opening monologue while he was on stage posing with the Patriots, and the fans were already booing.
Yeah.
So the fact that he was able to withstand that,
he
at
knew
least.
that. He knew that was coming. Believe me,
they welcome it at this
That'll
point,
be the
so.
easiest thing that he has to deal with as far as the Super Bowl goes.
So we all know what this story has been like in Philadelphia, but someone who follows it from the outside, what has it been like seeing the Eagles go on the amazing run with Carson Wentz, Nick Foles take over, they have their stumbles toward the end of the season but still get the number 1 seed, and then all of a sudden to turn it on for the playoffs?
I think it's been great because it's so unexpected, and that's what we love most about sports. I think that through the first 13 weeks, we're like, that Philly team can take it to anybody on both sides of the football. They're going to be so tough to game plan for you. Like, what do you take away on offense? And, the Jay Ajayi trade, we were like, God, boy, they made that deal specifically for the playoffs and to run a 4-minute offense and to seal a victory. And then when Wentz went down, we were like, all right, see you next year. Sorry, the drought since 1960 will continue. But, man, to see what they did, and especially against Minnesota and that tough defense, they can win this game. There's no doubt that they can win this game. And we talk about the pressure they're going to have to get on Brady up the middle, and that's almost become cliche and all that sort of stuff. I really think that this is on Doug Peterson that
Really?
he's got to continue to be excellent. He and Reich with their play calling, and to beat the master at this game.
What did you think of the contrast on stage yesterday between Doug Peterson, very casual with the jeans,
Right.
very relaxed, I think sort of emulates the mindset of the team, and you have Bill Belichick, who's all business, wearing the suit. Did you take anything from that at all, seeing it on opening night?
Not really. I mean, that's kind of who Doug Peterson is.
Exactly,
And I
yeah.
think dude would like to be on a golf course or in a deer blind, right? And, I think Bill Belichick would rather be with a coach's clicker in front of him, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, I think Doug Peterson has done I think he's been the MVP of the postseason, to be honest with you. I think he has done a great job letting the guys be who they are with the dog masks and all that sort of stuff, and then the game plans that they've come up with offensively have been brilliant. So I think he's really done a good job.
Working with Kurt Warner at NFL Network, has he at all made any comments seeing the similarities or trying to compare and contrast between how he had to take over in a 99 year to
except
it's
that
it's
it
obviously
is very different because
but
that injury happened in the preseason,
certainly.
and then he had so many people kind of pulling and tugging on him during the season to tell his story. Like, we know the Nick Foles story. It's not like, well, where did Nick Foles come from? There is a little bit of, well, why did Nick Foles disappear after that 27-2 touchdown to interception ratio in 2013? Like, what happened? Like, he seemed to be headed, if not to stardom, to at least being a viable starting quarterback at this level for a while, and he just kind of disappeared. And Kurt, I was talking to him yesterday. He said that during Super Bowl 34 week, they didn't have NFL honors, so they were handing out awards almost on a daily basis, like Offensive Player of the Year, stuff like that. So he kept getting awards that he had to go to and prepare for a game. It's kind of
he was going to the award ceremony still?
He was going to, they'd hand him something different, and he'd have to go do it on a Wednesday or a Thursday as he's trying to prep for the biggest game of the year. And he just said he was emotionally taxed at that point in the year.
Have you ever seen a story? You talked about Nick Foles, and he went from the 27-2 to traded for Sam Bradford a couple years later. Have you ever witnessed the full circle moment like that here in the NFL, or something along those lines where he's jettisoned in the trade, comes back as the backup? Because you don't see that often where the guy who was the starter and had a very good record as a starter.
Well, certainly not in the same place.
No, that's what I mean. On top of it.
Yeah, you get guys that have a rebirth elsewhere.
Yeah.
And guys that finally make it. Rich Gannon became a league MVP after kind of bouncing around and being a journeyman to a degree. And but this is pretty impressive, and to see it come around this quickly too. Like, he did like a quick lap around the NFL and came back.
What is it like? My last question for you, Chris, is how the heck, as a studio host on NFL Network, try to rein in Deion Sanders and Michael Irvin on a weekly basis?
Well,
that's got to be the most difficult job.
Thankfully, we've got Deion and LT now on Game Day Prime, and so LT, it doesn't just babble incessantly like Irv does. And I can say that because I've worked with Irv for over 15 years, and I love him. But
we're still gonna get a good laugh being in Philadelphia.
He always goes. The best is when Irv is getting ready for a show, like when we're all in our dressing room getting ready, and he'll look at himself in the mirror and he'll go, "God has blessed me. How do you do it to give this much to one man with the intelligence and the looks and the athletic ability?" And he's looking there in the mirror. I'm like, Irv.
Spot on.
I'm like, Irv.
So good.
I'm over here. Like, Chris, don't worry. You know too. You know it. You know it. That's why he's hilarious. He cracks me up.
Chris Rose, an amazing studio host for NFL Network. Again, check out Super Bowl Prime all week long leading up to the big game. And he maybe doesn't have to do the pregame show, 8.5 hours.
It's true. I'll be
on
sleeping in.
Super Bowl postgame, while hopefully Eagles fans are partying. I'm Chris McPherson, and thank you all for joining us in our continuing coverage of Super Bowl 52 here on PhiladelphiaEagles.com.
Fly, Eagles, fly.